Hey guys, what's going on? Ethan Gladwell here with Medicare Millennials, where we are teaching you how to sell Medicare year round, as well as documenting our journey to building a large, successful book of Medicare business. I had the pleasure of going to Houston this last week and giving a seminar on phone sales. So if you guys have been following us for any amount of time, you know that I've really jumped into the telesales arena with Medicare, which, as you may or may not know, there isn't a whole lot of people out there doing it minus the call centers. So as far as independent agents, there's not very many people out there. And if there are somebody trying it, a lot of them aren't very successful and a lot of them aren't even offering any sort of advice. So today, I wanted to go over a couple of quick slides that I did at this conference. What I'm going to talk about today, I'm going to try and keep it short and sweet. I want to talk about what phone sales isn't. Then I also want to go over a couple of pros and cons and really dissect those. So let's get started today. First off, I wanted to start with what phone sales isn't. Guys, everybody has seen the advertisement on YouTube or the guy on YouTube that's sitting on a beach, sipping a fruity drink and gloating about the success he or she has had in phone sales, and I'm the one that's bringing that down because, truth be told, although yes, you can be anywhere that has an internet connection, I view this as an actual job and an actual career. So I'm not sitting on a beach hanging out making phone calls. I'm sitting in an office, wherever that might be, as I'm on the road all the time. I'm sitting down in the office, focused, honed in, and I'm constantly trying to perfect my craft here. So what phone sales isn't? First off, it's not hanging out by the beach all day. It's not working 4 hours a day, guys. I think I work harder in telesales than I've ever worked as a face-to-face agent. One huge myth that I will bust here in just a minute is it is not faster than face-to-face. Okay, let me repeat that one more time. It is not faster than face-to-face. It certainly isn't sexy if you're doing it correct. It's not easy, believe it or not, and it certainly isn't for everybody. Again, I'm not trying to bash telesales. I've had a blast and I'm learning more and more every single day. I just want to make sure that people are getting into the business for the right reasons. So a few pros and a few cons here. We'll start with the pros. I'll juice it up just a little bit and then I'll bring you guys right back down here. One pro is no windshield time. We're not sitting behind the windshield in our car seat going between appointments. And so, in fact, let me just break this one down because a lot of agents always say that I'm wasting time behind the windshield in between appointments. I think that's foolish. Windshield time is when I do several different things. I can be listening to a podcast on how to sharpen my skills. But more importantly, if you have any sort of pending business, you could be calling carriers, checking on that pending business. You could be calling clients that you've sold as recently as that week. That's where I'm making my follow-up calls. That's where I'm double checking that they've received their card in the mail, that the doctor looks good. I have a list of those things that I need to get done in between appointments sitting next to me in my seat. So I'm making those phone calls and I'm utilizing that time to the very best of my ability. So if you're talking to me and you say, I want to do phone sales because I want to eliminate that wasted windshield time, I'm going to come back at you pretty hard. Second of all, obviously no wear or tear on any vehicle or anything like that. We understand that. I actually just recently talked to an agent who didn't have a vehicle. So obviously if you wanted to hop into the insurance arena and you didn't have the funds to purchase a vehicle, telesales might be a viable option for you. And then I've also recently talked to another insurance agent who was handicapped where he couldn't actually physically get out and meet people unless, of course, they had a ramp at their house and things like that. So, of course, there's no wear and tear on the vehicle, and if you're incapable of actually going to the house, that makes sense. A pro is you can work from anywhere. If you've been following me along for any amount of time, you've seen that, today I'm in Michigan, tomorrow I'll be in Texas, the following day I'm in Florida, the next day I'm who knows where, right? All I need is an internet connection, and I can be anywhere at any time selling Medicare. So that's really neat. For me, it's easier to develop a workflow. I suffer from not being very organized whatsoever. In fact, if you would kind of probably call me a liar here if you saw down here my workstation. But when I was going from state to state, car to car, client to client, I had stuff all over the place. Anytime my wife got in my car, it took me 30 minutes to get it cleaned out before she could even step in. So that's a personal thing that I know that I could fix. But when I'm in one spot and I've got a desk like I do today, I can have my systems in place that will help me be more organized. And of course, it's easier to maintain a schedule. So when I was booking appointments, I would book 6 to 8 per day. And obviously, we know that those schedules can, or I'm sorry, those appointments can run long, and it really causing a shift in your schedule there. So when I am dialing, as far as telesales, I'm not dialing to set appointments. I'm actually dialing to run appointments. And so it's easier to have a schedule because there really isn't a schedule. All that I know is I'm working from 9 to 3 making phone calls. Let's talk about some of the cons there. First off, it's a little bit, you're easily distracted. And what do I mean by that is I can hear the dog in there. I can hear the TV. I can hear if the dryer just went off. It's time to go fold clothes, especially the days that it seems like you've made 40 phone calls and not a single person picked up. It's easy to go do something else, right? I highly discourage that. I tell people all the time, if my wife calls or busts through that door asking me to do something, I tell her that I'm working and I will come to you during lunch or even after I'm done. And I'm serious, and you can ask her about that. Another con is it can be harder to build rapport over the phone. Again, as a face-to-face agent for the last 5 years, now 6 next month, my strength was building rapport, letting them see my face, letting them see my smile, shaking their hand, looking them in the eyes and things like that. I think all those are huge when it comes to face-to-face, and you don't get that connection over the phone. So it could be, at least initially, harder to build rapport. And this goes hand in hand with that. You can't read the body language. Guys, I remember being in houses and somebody would be doing this, or they'd be watching TV and not listening to me. Obviously, with telesales, you really can't gauge that body language. And so it's more important than ever to re-engage these people. So if you hear the TV loud in the background while you're going over, whatever it is that you're going over with, the needs assessment with the client, and you can kind of tell that they're not engaged, it's your job to really re-engage them again and make sure that they're following along. Here's a fun one. People think, again, because of the wasted windshield time, that you could do telesales and it would be significantly faster. In fact, that's further from the truth. Appointments tend to be much slower. The reason is you're not in control. You're not able to say, where's your medication list? Let me look at them. I can literally read it, write it, and process it faster than they can spell the first medication, right? So you got to deal with that. You got to go get them to find their card. They got to understand what card you're even asking about. And again, it's easy for them to go, oh, hold on, somebody's at the door, somebody's on the phone, got to go to the restroom, whatever. So the myth that appointments are faster over telesales is not true. Simply not true. So they are slower appointment times. And I just found out here recently that actually telesales agents and call centers are graded on their time spent on the phone. And so that means to me that these insurance companies, these call centers have seen that it does take a little bit longer than face-to-face, and so they're trying to make sure that they keep that client moving forward. Lastly, but certainly not least, is chargebacks can come easier than face-to-face. Again, guys, the next person that calls, if you don't separate yourself or differentiate yourself from the next guy that calls, if somebody calls and promises them the sun, the moon, the stars, maybe there's a plan with something just a little bit better than yours, although not overall better, they didn't tell the full truth, they're going to switch if they have a special election period. So you really need to be able to differentiate yourself and make sure that you let them know how you're different. And there are some strategies that I've used to really improve that. So initially I had a few chargebacks and I was like, man, I built some good rapport with that guy, yada yada. Why on earth did they switch? And the fact of the matter is I didn't do what I was supposed to do on the back end, and I didn't differentiate myself from the next guy that would call. So guys, just to kind of recap, those are some pros and cons of telesales, as well as what telesales isn't. My job is just to make sure that I'm busting all those myths and make sure that you guys aren't getting into something that you're not supposed to. And if you are getting into it, you have realistic expectations. As always, please like and subscribe. It tremendously helps us out. If you're on Instagram, make sure to find us at Medicare Millennials, and we will talk to you guys soon. Reach out with any questions. See ya.